Hey, Jay here, in the middle of a big trail ride this winter in California. We have a 17 KTM 300XC, which doesn't look much like a KTM, but very cool looking flow yellow plastic we got on here. So this is a 17 300XC with a Kian from Sudco with JD jetting in it. That's the main mods. TMR did the head. So that's this bike. Factory Connection did the suspension, and we've done some projects with it with dirt bike tests. So that's this bike. This bike is a 19 KTM 300XC. Factory Connection did the suspension on this. We did this with Racer X with Pingree. And this one has an Electron in it, carburetor. We like this one too. So we're going to talk about, if you have a 17 or 18, do you need to buy a 19? And I guess the immediate answer would be no. If you have a 17 or 18 and you're happy with it, unless you have the money and you just want to have the latest, greatest. But is there a huge difference? There's different plastic designs, a different chassis, a little bit different suspension and stuff. The pipe's a little bit different, but overall, you're just fine with a 17 or 18 KTM 300. This is the newer generation motor with counterbalancer, doesn't vibrate, so you're totally fine with a 17 or 18. Now, if you have an older bike, older 300, let's say, and you want to upgrade, yeah, the 19 would be great for you, because the older 300 does vibrate a ton. Guys, get used to it and don't get mad at me. There's a lot of guys get mad at me saying, hey, it's just fine, you're not man enough to ride it. Well, I'm not. So I like the newer bike that doesn't vibrate. And Spencer feels the same way. Which one, what do you feel, Spence?
I've ridden them both today, an old bike and a new bike, and I like the new bike.
We also rode Rado's 04. What do you think of riding an 04? It runs good, it's good.
It's fast. Kickstarting is not
you
fun.
Can afford, yeah, kickstarting kind of stinks in some, because we get in some tough trails, and when you get stuck and you have to kickstart it, that kind of stinks. So when you talk about the newer generation bikes, there's 2 years of this bike, 17 and 18, 300XC, and again, 19, 300XC. Now people go, why don't you get the fuel injected XCW TPI bike? And we haven't got that yet because we've ridden it, and it's just, we're not totally comfortable with it yet. We're gonna wait until the TPI comes on an XC model. We don't like the XCW gearing. We like the gearing on these two bikes. Both these, we run a 51 rear. We have the gummy Dunlops on here, and you can see they're pretty chewed up. They still work amazing, even when they're chewed up. This thing's got, you know, a bunch of rides on it, and it's still grabby and works really well. If we don't run this, we'll run a trials tire, but this works even better. So then, again, these bikes are very similar. Motors the same. TMR cut the head on this one. We've done the same mods on both these bikes. We kind of think that the 19 might be a tiny bit easier to ride, like in tight, gnarly hills where I get stuck. I think it's a little bit better. The Electron, I think, maybe works a little better right in there. This one has a little bit more bark, more hit. So, you know, either one's fine. They're so close. If you got used to riding either one, you'd be fine. So KTM won't be happy with me catching me saying that you don't have to buy a 19 if you have a 17 or 18, but if you have an older bike and you're looking for an ultimate trail bike, I think these are it. We still do spend a decent amount of money on them, outfitting them for real trail use with, you know, pipe guard, and we need a frame. What do you call it? Skid plate. We need a skid plate, and you do need to mess with the jetting. I mean, you can run the stock carburetor, and we've talked about that in some other videos. But if you want to make it run really well, you'll need to mess with the jetting and probably get Electron or a Kian. The Kian is a lot cheaper option through Sudco. Maybe like 40%, 50% less, somewhere in that range. But if you're going up and down in elevation, I'd probably lean towards Electron. So there you go. If you got a 17 or 18, you're good to go. If you got some big bucks, and go for it, get a 19, and they come in orange and white. We changed this one over. We like to look a little different. So have fun. We'll see you out in the trail. Okay, so that's a big hill. There's Spencer, like, crawling down. I can hardly see him. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty steep. Shadow goes down.